I'm waiting for. Feel the right in the world of that for sure. Na 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 na. Got get that feeling.
Hello, loves. It's me, Sunshine. What's going on, loves? What is today? Thursday. Happy Thursday. I hope everybody had an amazing week. And I have a beautiful goddess on tonight, Jenna Turner. You know, I don't like to leave them in the back room, so we're going to bring her on.
Hi,
Hey, love.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. Thank you for coming on. We actually just discussed, our friend in common, Jill, got us together. We already have a comment. Let's see who it is. Oh, it's Corinne. Yes. Love, love, love. Yes. So beautiful, beautiful goddess, tell us how you became this beautiful, beautiful light in this wonderful world.
Big question.
And now I don't have to do anything else.
It'll be 4 hours long, the answer. I guess just to take it back a few steps, I grew up in an interesting household where my mother would switch religions.
Okay.
And I think with her being such a free spirit, it allowed me the opportunity to kind of find my own self as I was growing up. I began reading cards when I was 15 and getting into crystals when I was 18.
Wow.
The great thing about the cards is, like, I think with any craft, like say you're an artist, maybe you pick things up, you pick up your paintbrush and then you get back to it when you have time.
Yep.
The tarot cards.
That's all my art.
I don't think I ever put the tarot, beautiful art, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever put the tarot cards down. I had been reading religiously probably since I'm 15. It would always be like some family member or a friend that would be like, tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
And I would like experiment on them and then things would come, to fruition. So I always felt like I could rely on that. And that's been like my constant. That's probably been my only constant. So in a sense, it's almost like become my religion because I don't really have, one specific thing. But I, through loss in my life, as I had grown older and keeping that tarot card thread and connection in my life, as I had become older, I had lost family members due to illness or death. And it was like, okay, what can I do with myself now that I'm experiencing all this loss, where it seemed like every time I would lose somebody, I would hear like this magnificent rendition of their life that I was like, are we related to the same person? I don't remember this about them, And then it led me to think to myself, well, when I leave this earth, what will they say about me? And so it prompted me to want to grow a deeper connection to my spirituality, to incorporate my career with what had always been my constant, which was like the card reading and whatnot, and the crystals. So I decided when I was 33 to quit my job, which wasn't just a job, it was a career. I was working in advertising for 13 years.
Okay.
To open up a store that would be a place, a sanctuary for people to come and feel connected, because anytime I felt disconnected, I would just get back to my spirituality to feel connected.
Right.
And I think still to this day, that's something I do. And I think also still to this day, that's something I notice about the community that we've now connected, is that when people feel disconnected, they come back to their spirituality. So I was lucky enough to be able to find a career in selling products that would support that spirituality.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And even still now, and there's so much in between all of that, and I can get to that, even still now, Monday through Friday, I read the cards for the community that I have met through my company that I've now had for 16 years. And it's so funny because I'll read the cards and then I'll like watch the video, or I'll like, listen to it while I'm brushing my teeth and showering, and I'm like, who is that talking? Like, that's not me. Like, who? And I watch my eyes like going all around the room, and I can tell that that's not me. And then I'm like, is this reading for me?
Yeah.
But the great thing is, like, even just this evening before coming on here, a woman came up to the counter and she was so excited. And I was like, okay, who is this going to be? And she was like, hi. I was like, hi. She's like, I log on your readings in the morning, and I'm sorry if I don't tell you that it resonates with me, but it resonates with me. And that makes me feel good. It doesn't like serve my ego, but it makes me, Jenna, feel good, because I'm
Of
like, wow,
course.
that means that people that feel disconnected are coming back to their sense of spirituality.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So I just feel like it's given me a platform to be able to connect with other people, to keep my own spirituality activated, and then to support other people who are looking for a way to keep it activated,
Yes, definitely. I actually do the same thing on Facebook in my Goddess Love group. I come on and I do readings too. Yeah. So
Okay,
and
I need to do that. I need to be a part of that.
and it's so much fun because it's true. You're connecting with your community, your beautiful, community, and it's so special. It really is.
And there's so many times that I'm busy now, and I think like, okay, I need to not be in the store. I need to be behind the scenes doing more for the company. But then if someone gets sick or needs a day off or whatever the case might be, I'm back in the shop, and I'll say to myself, like, as a conversation will happen, I'm like, I needed to be here to hear this conversation. Like, it takes me back to that original first couple of years when I would hear the stories and they would ignite something inside of me. I feel like Breathe keeps me very like grounded when I'm
Yeah.
in the store. And I get to hear those stories, and I'm like, okay, there was a reason why I needed to be here today to share this moment with this person.
Yeah.
I love it when it's coming from many different conversations in one day and there's a common thread.
Oh, yeah, the synchronicities, yeah.
It's so strong.
You have a lot of friends on here that all love your readings.
Oh,
They all resonate. Yeah,
yay.
so much love. Yay.
I appreciate that. That makes me feel good.
Yes. So tell us how you started with your beautiful shop.
So I had landed a job as like a kid. I think I was like 20 or 21 years old. I remember the man interviewing me was like, can you start on, let's say it was a Monday? I was
Okay.
like, oh no, I'm going to Splish Splash that day. I can't start that day. Thinking it was just going to be a job, not realizing I was going to be there for 13 years and it would end up being my career.
Wow.
But my dad had passed away in an airplane crash, and I had taken off to go to his services. And although it was a loss in my life, it felt like a vacation. It was like myself and my former husband and my 6 children. I felt like I was just like, oh, no work, no stress. I got to be with family that I hadn't seen in years. I got to be with my siblings that I don't get to see so often. And I really didn't want to go back to work. And not just because I was sad from the loss, not to take away from the loss of my father, but I just
Right.
didn't want to go back to work.
Yeah.
And then when I did go back to work, literally the first day I went back to work, my daughter became ill. And her elementary school had called and was like, we're calling an ambulance. We need you to get here.
Wow.
So then I wound up taking off to be with my daughter. As they were treating her, they thought she had meningitis. It ended up being scarlet fever.
Oh, wow.
So after that, when the pediatrician, after weeks of her, going for visits and stuff, the pediatrician was like, I think you guys just need a break. And I was like, say no more. So now I had taken off for my dad's passing. I'd taken off for my daughter. And then myself and my former husband and my 6 children had gone off to California to go visit my mom for Christmas.
Wow.
I had missed all this time from work. And the more and more I was detached from my 9 to 5, the more I realized I can't go back to work. Like I felt like it was sucking something from me.
Yes.
And I remember inviting my husband to dinner. I think he thought I was going to break up with him. I was like, can we have dinner? I was like, can we sit down and have a discussion? And he was like, are we good? I was like, yeah. And I sat him down. I'm like, I can't work there anymore. Like, I need to open up a store. I need to like have something where we offer like books and like gifts that mean something. Like things have to have a meaning for people, like when they're feeling disconnected.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, I was inspired by a local store there where my dad had passed. He lived in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And it was something my husband and I would do. We would go into this little cute store whenever we were there. And I just felt like so peaceful when I was there. We would buy books on Buddhism, and I probably still have these books to this day. And we would take turns. Like I would wait outside with the kids and he would go in, because you dare not go in there with 6 kids, and then
Oh, no, yeah.
vice versa. So I had reached out to the owners of that store and let them know, like, you know, you inspired me. I feel such sanctuary when I come into your store, and I really, really want to open a store in New York like yours. And do you have any advice? And not to negate anything about their decision, but they were like, no, with all due respect, like you have to find your own journey. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Ooh, I just got the chills.
Yeah. So from that, I started researching like how to open a business. I had no idea. I hadn't even graduated high school. I hadn't even gone to college. I just landed that random job where I thought going to Splish Splash was more important. It's like, I'm going to Splish Splash, sir. It's way more important than advertising. So just like thinking about how I was going to open it and create it. Then my brother passed like 7 months after my dad had passed. So I was like, okay, and here we go again.
Right.
For all those weeks of, my brother's services. And then once again, returning back to work. And I think my brother's passing was like, that was it. It was the ultimatum. Like, I cannot go back to the job. Like if there was any hesitation, it would be at that moment that I would say, no, I'm not hesitating. I'm doing this. So my brother passed June 24th. And by August 15th, in the front seat of my husband's car, I signed a lease to a store. And I was like, well, I'm all in now. There's no backing out. And that's so awesome. I opened up my store, signed that lease August 15th of 2006. My first location was in Mount Sinai. And yeah, it was a really interesting journey. People would come in and I would be like selling silverware.
Yeah.
And signs and books, random things. And people would come in and go, do you sell incense? And I would go, oh, we're getting that on Tuesday. And then they would, I would Google, where do you buy incense? And then someone else would come in and go, do you sell tarot cards? I'd be like, oh, we're getting that in next Wednesday. And then they would leave and I go, where do you buy tarot cards?
That's awesome. So your customers gave you the supply list.
Yeah. They dictated what they wanted. And from that, I just became the yes person. I didn't become a liar. I just became yes.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. You manifested them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Colleen wrote that she remembers your first store and the feeling she got when she walked in.
Oh, Colleen. Hi, honey bunny.
George's Handlebar. I actually lived right around the corner from George's Handlebar when I was 16. That's so funny.
Wow. Yeah. And that's where my first store was, over there for 3 years.
Yeah. It's amazing.
So interesting.
So then with 6 children, God bless.
Thank you.
Oh, Corinne just wrote this, a big one. Changed your life, conversation with you and my daughter.
Yeah.
Oh.
Leia.
And Corinne is one of my, Leia. Corinne's one of my really good friends. So yeah.
Such a sweetheart.
She really is.
She just always like shows up in my life at the right time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, longtime customers there.
Yeah.
Colleen as well, yeah.
Yeah, Colleen. I actually grew up with Colleen.
Wow.
Yeah.
So many synchronicities, sunshine.
Yes, I know. And Jill said that they used to call you Sunshine. Did they call?
Yes.
Ah,
So my husband's family, there's a little nephew. We call him Germ. His name is yeah, we just call him Germ. And being as fair skinned as I am, we were out one time, actually here in Port Jefferson at Ralph's Italian Ice,
okay.
and I guess he just didn't remember me from the family parties, and he's related through my husband's side of the family. So my husband had gone and picked him up, and then they came to the Port Jeff store to visit me, and I got off my shift, so I was like, let's go get the kids some ice cream. So it was my children and then Germ,
Okay.
and we go over there, and I'm like, like picking him up. He's like this cute little kid with so much personality,
Mm.
and he's like, he says in front of everybody, I don't know you.
Ah!
Because I'm like trying to like pick him up to see the ice cream, and I'm like, I was so embarrassed. I'm like, you don't know me, and I didn't want to say my real name. I'm like, I'm Sunshine, and he's like, Miss Sunshine, I don't know you. So from that, every time I would see him, he would call me Miss Sunshine.
Aw, that's so cute.
So I was telling Jill, I'm like, how funny that like
Yeah.
Germ calls me Miss Sunshine.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you know what's so funny? Corinne was nickname is Sunshine too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of us. We're all sunshine. I always say that once you move the clouds away, the sun is shining right here, all of us, right?
And we have to continue to create our own sunshine, because it seems like sometimes the universe tries to pull us in a different direction, and we just have
Yeah,
to remember to always like find our own sunshine.
it's so true. It's so true. Donna, I don't know if you know Donna Amber. Her nickname is Sunshine also.
Wow.
Christine Fay, hey lady.
Mhm.
Hello. Oh, here's another one. My mother calls me Sarah Sunshine. Yeah.
Wow.
I legally changed my name to Sunshine.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. I put the papers in December, so I'm just waiting
Wow.
for the official.
We have a customer in the Bayshore store, and her birth name is Sunshine.
Oh, I love that. I always say that I was born Sunshine, my soul is Sunshine, and my parents changed my name.
Wow. It's powerful.
So I changed it back.
So powerful.
Yeah.
And our names are so important,
Oh, yeah. Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. So tell us then you opened another store, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I moved from the Mount Sinai location where George's Handlebar was after, which is so funny because the inception of Breathe was when I was 33. I was
Okay.
in George's Handlebar Shopping Center for 3 years and 3 months. How weird is that?
Oh, I love the threes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Port Jefferson, which is so funny because I have a friend named April. I don't know if she's my friend or my acquaintance, but either way, she had mentioned that she had a relative in Port Jefferson that had a store for rent.
Okay.
With that on the back burner, I went looking for stores for rent. I had stopped into Julie Powell's office here in Port Jeff, and I was like, let me just go looking. And I had taken a friend of mine in the past that I was friends with, a psychic medium, to go looking because she was going to rent a room in the back to do readings more full time than what I could offer, because I was really
Right.
at the time only doing readings in the mornings and in the night, and it was hard with the 6 kids.
Yeah.
So we went looking, and I didn't realize that the building that we ultimately ended up in was April's family, the one that April had said, I have a family member that has a storefront. And I guess like I had heard her, but I didn't hear her.
Okay.
And we had looked at 6 places, and we didn't like the location I ended up in, which I've now been in for 13 years and change, 13 and a half years.
Wow.
I didn't like it all because the spirit was so strong and I could feel him. And at that time, my mediumship gifts were just starting to come out. I was very scared of them. I knew, and I was completely confident with being an intuitive. I was freaked out about being a medium, and I would just like not want anything, like severe, super freaked out. So I had asked the woman that I brought with me, I was like, what do you think about this space? And she's like, it's going to take some getting used to. He has a very strong personality. I'm like, I feel him too. So we ultimately, everything wound up falling through. It wasn't even like that we ultimately chose this. We ultimately lost every other location. Out of
Wow.
6, 5 of them were like, forget it, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, great, I have to get out of my store because I had a 3-year lease with a 2-year option to stay. And I had told the landlord, I don't want to stay. Like, I'm dying over here.
Yeah.
So I said to the person I was friends with at the time, I'm like, I think I just have to choose 116 East Main Street. I'm like, I'm going to have to just get along with this guy. And you know what's so funny that we're doing this podcast today? I'm going to interrupt my conversation for a minute. Earlier today, I was looking for a notebook. I'm in my home office right now. And I was looking for a notebook. I have a tendency to start journals and not finish them. And I found a notebook from 2010 where my passage says, I'm so fed up with the spirit. He keeps breaking things and I can't afford it. I kid you not. I have the passage right next to me.
That's so
And do you know, today I worked at that location, 116 East Main Street. And a Buddha, I had 2 girls in the store, a Buddha came flying off the shelf and shattered.
Wow.
And I was facing like the wall, but it was over to the right. And these 2 girls were facing me and they were like, and I was like, oh my goodness, I forgot to say hello when I came in today.
I reached out to you a couple of years ago about, you posted a purple Buddha, and we talked on Instagram about it, but it's all the way over there. I'm not going to go looking for it, but you
So
said
funny.
Buddha, it reminded me.
And it just shattered everywhere. And when the girls left, because I think the girls got a little freaked out. And I was like, well, hello, George. Like, I forgot to say hello to you today. I'm so sorry. But like,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
you just broke like a $30-something Buddha. Like, thank you so much. But how funny that today I went through that old journal and I saw my passage where I'm like, I'm fed up. I can't take it anymore.
That's so
But
funny.
he was so feisty in the beginning. And now it seems as though, almost like he's accepted me. He's like, she's not going anywhere at this point.
Yep.
And
And
the
he's
funny thing is, I just called him George for no reason at all, but it's really never no reason. It's your intuition.
right, exactly.
And my friend Gina, back in the day, again, somebody I'm not really friends with anymore, more so acquaintances, she used to call him Captain.
Uh,
And I'd say, well, I'm not going to say you're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong, but you could call him Captain and I'm going to call him George.
yeah.
And fast forward like 10 years, I have this sweet customer named Mary. We'll just call her Mary J. She calls me Mama J. And she was walking through the village of Port Jeff one day and she came back with like a little smoothie for me. And she was like, Mama J. I was like, yes. She's like, do you know that the building across the street from your store says Captain G.W. Brewster? She's like, I bet if you look into it, his name was probably George because you call
Wow.
him George and
Woo!
your friend calls
I
him
got
Captain.
chills.
And that's his name, Captain George Washington Brewster.
I
So
love
I
it.
think the guy across the street is the guy that frequents the Port Jeff location.
That's awesome. And when you were talking about it, I was like, he was Captain George. That's what I got in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then you moved so now that one you've had for 13 years?
So so at that point now, yep. So 3 years in Mount Sinai and I'm 13 and a half years in Port Jeff. And 4 years ago, I opened up Bayshore.
Okay.
And then we went through COVID. And right after COVID, I was like, I want to open another store. I had like all this energy. And I think that the real need for me to open up the third location came from like this new energy on myself because I had opened up Port Jeff kind of out of the loss of my dad and my brother.
Right.
I opened up Bayshore with the intention for my children, for my daughter Tommy to have a store with me. And then I had gone through a separation with my husband, who I'm separated from now. And I think when coming through COVID, I think I really during that time became so deeply connected to my community more than ever before, because we were doing things like on Zoom, like meditations and playing bingo with tarot card images.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing like tarot card classes all on Zoom. And it was like every day I had to check in with them to see, like,
Yeah.
I think that's when I met Jill actually, who asked me to be on your podcast. Like,
She
I
just wrote this.
Yeah, I delivered to her house. I remember delivering to her house. I think, yeah, I delivered. I think at the time I was dating, and I dragged my boyfriend along with me. And also having been separated at that point, it was like I needed to birth something that was just Jenna, like all of Jenna, you know.
Right.
So so yeah, I opened I actually sold my car
Okay. To
to
open the
pay.
other third.
I sold my car because a lot of people were doing loans, and I was so nervous to do the loans. And again, not being a high school graduate or a college, you know, educated person, I was hearing about all this money, and I was just like, I don't know, like they're saying 30 years from now, you might be paying some of this back. And I'm like, I'm going to be 80 at that point, and I don't know if I'm going
Right,
to have
right.
that kind of money to pay back. So I sold my car in front of the Bayshore store, and I had to get a ride home because I didn't have a ride home.
That's so great. I love
And I
that.
had to get driven home because I was like, oh God, how am I going to get home from Bayshore?
How am I gonna work there?
So with that money, I paid all of my rent. I stacked up a few months, and I opened up the Riverhead store.
Okay.
And I birthed that with everything that was recycled. Like someone was going out of business, I was there to buy it. Wilson's Leather at the Riverhead Outlets was going out of business. I was like, I will take all of your showcases. It was just like so much fun. And then so Riverhead was open about a year, and in that time frame I had met my first boyfriend ever since my separation with my husband, and we were just inspired to open up a store together. I opened that location, and he like helped build it for me. And then my son was like, during that time, he was like, you're opening up all these stores. He was like, I want in on this, I want to open in Texas. And I was like, okay. And so now I have 5 babies.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And then you started another one, right? Called Stone, what
Love Stoned. Yeah.
Love Stone. Where's that one?
That's the Oyster Bay one. That was baby number 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So that one, you know, it was my first boyfriend that I had mentioned, my first time having a boyfriend since being
Okay.
my husband. Super in love, super giddy. It was like everything I ever wanted from a relationship that I didn't get, I got in this man. And it was like I had always loved Oyster Bay. I had, before I had even met him, I had been driving through Oyster Bay looking for a storefront. And I remember one day I was like, hey, I'm in Oyster Bay. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm looking to open another store. And he was like, where are you? I'll come meet you. And we went into this location. Originally it was number 55 is the location. My dad died at 55. So I'm like, this is it. This is a sign from my dad.
Yeah.
I went in, and I was going to take it. I said to the sister, I'm going to take it. And she goes, okay, just contact my sister. She's my partner. So I called the sister from the car, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. There was miscommunication. I don't know why my sister showed it to you. It's actually spoken for. It's going to be a coffee shop. And I was like, no. I felt so defeated.
Right.
So I walked up the road, and number 11 was available.
Ah.
Okay, it's an angel number. 55
Yeah.
is good, but 11 is better. So I call the woman, and she's like, I happen to be here in Oyster Bay. Let me turn my car around. I'll come back and meet you right now. So I tell her the whole story, how I had just come 15 minutes earlier from looking at number 55. And she's like, oh yeah. She's like, this was going to be a coffee shop, but I heard they're taking 55 now.
Ah, I love it.
So I'm like, that's so weird. So I took number 11. I've been there now a year and a half. I named it a different name because at that time I was madly in love with my first boyfriend. And, you know, we sell stones. So I was like, Love Stoned.
I love
It's a
that.
great name, you know?
Yeah, it is a great name. Are you
Yeah.
still madly in love with him?
Oh boy, we are not together anymore.
Aw.
We are not together anymore. I do still love him. He definitely came into my life for a reason. Definitely. Still love him, but we are not together anymore.
Yeah. Is he involved with the store or no? That's just you.
No, unfortunately, he's not. And you know, it's so sad because there's so much of his energy in the store still that I haven't changed, like his handwriting. He was really quirky. He would write these little notes to the staff. I left up all of his notes. And I can say that with confidence because I'm single, so I'm not offending anybody that I'm with. I finally just took his pictures down, and the staff was like, what are you doing with his pictures up? I'm like, there was so much of him that inspired that store. So out of respect,
Yeah.
I just keep his energy there, you know?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that,
Not
love.
at all. Not at all.
Nothing
He's
wrong.
definitely, I can tell you that there are people that will touch your life, and he is definitely someone who touched my life. His picture is still on our Love Stone profile. I'll never disrespect what we had. We had something really beautiful.
Yeah,
We just went our different in different directions.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I have uh, a a lover, I'll call him, that he's the one who discovered my healing modality.
Ooh,
So yeah, so he will always be forever in my heart. We're not together, but he will
yeah.
forever, inspired me to do what I do. So yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I feel like even with my marriage, like I had such a hard time letting go of my marriage, and I feel like ultimately now at this point in my life, and maybe it's through my spirituality, I don't know what it's through, but I feel such strength in really knowing that he is happy. And of course I want him to be happy. He's the father of my children. Like, you want the person who's going to be caring for your kids to be happy ultimately, and I genuinely mean that. I pour everything into what I say. I'll always love him. People come into your life for a reason. I've made a commitment to myself this year for the first time. I've been single before unintentionally. This
Mhm.
year I'm going to be single with intention, that I'm going to pour into myself the way I want a man to pour into me. Until that
Yeah,
person comes into my life, I'm just dedicated to being on my own.
I love that.
Yeah.
So beautiful. I did the same thing, but now I'm ready to experience some love again.
Yes.
2023, yes.
Hmm. There's such a power in like there's such a power in taking your power,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yep.
Instead of letting, because I feel like I'm such a Gemini. I just let life happen and I respond to it as it's happening.
I'm a Gemini too, love.
Well, sunshine. When's your birthday?
May 29th.
Okay, I'm June
Yeah,
2nd. That's
okay.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like I always just respond as life happens. And this
Yeah,
is the first time I'm taking the initiative to actually try and control something in my life. And that's like staying single and just getting to know who I am. I think every time I would try and date somebody, like I literally just tried dating somebody and I was like, what is happening? It was like I
yeah.
felt like I was falling apart. Like you put on a shirt that's too tight and the seam pops, and then you sew it, and then this seam pops, and then you sew it, and then this pops, and you're like, what is happening? I
What
can't get rid of
happened? And it's so beautiful too when you know who you are, and you love yourself, inside and out, and you're good with everything. That's when they'll come, the
Mhm.
person who's at your same vibration, who will nourish and inspire you just like you will nourish and inspire him.
Mhm.
Don't settle for less, right?
Mm. And I'm
Never
not going
again.
to. I'm not going to.
That's beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
yeah. So, and it's good. It's given me an opportunity to pour more. Not that I'm somebody who doesn't pour everything they have into their business, but I've been trying to keep up on our social media, my readings. There were times when I was in a relationship with my former boyfriend, and he was so gracious in allowing me to always be there for the audience. But I would get lazy. I would want to just come home and hang out with him, and I'd be like, I don't feel like doing my live tonight.
Right.
Now I found like a time of day that works for me, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. I'm totally committed. Like at 7:59, I'm like, all right, let's do this. So I feel like I'm pouring more into that. And ultimately my goal for Breathe is that I have something for my kids. I would love, with 6 kids, I would love to have something for them. Like maybe they each get their own store or whatever.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
So I'll
A
use this time.
beautiful legacy you're leaving.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
a grandmother now, so
Hey, I love it. I'm a grandma too.
it's so awesome. Tonight I was on FaceTime with my son and we were shopping with my vendor who I usually go see in person. I've
Okay.
been buying from her dad for years. And I said to my son, just mute your microphone so we don't hear the babies. And my son's like, okay, so you don't see my son in the picture. And all
Okay.
of a sudden you see my grandson like, pop his head. And I'm like, here I'm trying to be professional. I'm like, hi, it's
Yeah,
grandma.
yeah, you wanna touch 'em. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Oh
so
boy.
yeah. My granddaughter is 3. They live in South Carolina, so I
Oh,
understand with the whole FaceTime, you know?
so much joy, right?
Yeah, they're amazing. They're
Mhm.
amazing.
And I
So
think my grandson has the gift because when he comes to visit me, he'll be like walking towards me and he's like, and I'm like, oh, you see that guy? Say hi to him. He's not going anywhere.
My granddaughter, was speaking the light language.
What's the
Yeah.
light language?
You don't know light language? It's a beautiful language. Jill, Google it so I know the exact thing, but it's a beautiful language where, from, the stars above that it's
Wow.
just yeah, and, it's just so beautiful that she's that connected, and I knew she was, pregnant immetely. Um, I knew that she was having a girl. She's I swear my twin flame, this little
Wow.
yeah, baby, yeah. Light codes, she said. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's so beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, and I feel that we were all connected from the beginning. It's, when society and humanness makes us forget.
Mm, totally get
Yeah, because they're all love. Those babies are just pure, pure love.
that. Mhm.
They know no difference in anything.
Yeah.
How old's your grandson?
He's 2 and my granddaughter is 1.
Oh, okay, you have 2. Nice.
Hmm. And it's just so interesting because I had my son at 24 and 11
Okay.
months later I had my daughter at 25. So my son and his wife had their son at 24. And I said, you guys, you better get on it. You need a little girl by the time you turn 25. And at Christmas, they wrapped up this little package, and I had asked for an iPad for Christmas. So it looked like an iPad pen. But when I opened the box, it was a pregnancy test. And I was like, no way. I
That's
was like, did I get you
amazing.
guys pregnant? So they're 11 months apart, boy, girl, just like me, boy, girl. And my mom's first 2 kids, boy, girl, same thing. 11 months apart, all of us.
That's amazing.
So it's just so interesting that, my mom's first 2 was a boy, girl, 11 months apart, my son, and then myself.
Yeah. Choosing to stay single and pour more love. That's
Mm,
beautiful. And then,
Selma, my sweet Selma.
yeah, Colleen wrote that you told her years before she was pregnant, she had no intention, and then she left the reading in disbelief. And years later, she was pregnant.
Wow.
Uh, and her
Mm,
son is amazing. I love
absolutely. I
he's
haven't seen him in years, but
oh my god,
absolutely.
he's my best friend.
Mhm.
I donate murals to, some nonprofit organizations, and, I did 2 at one of the places she volunteers at, and Caden was helping me paint. He's so cute.
How old is he now?
I don't know. Colleen, tell us. I think he's 5 or 6. 6. Yeah. He's tall too. He's so cute.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So tell us some magical stories besides Captain
George Brewster.
George.
I
He's
mean,
8. He's 8 years old now.
God, he's 8. That's
Wow.
crazy. That's crazy. There are just so many magical stories. I mean, I can just even start, within my own personal life. Just like the way things unfolded in my life, when something that I really like to share is that 2 of my children aren't my birth children. They didn't come from my womb space, but they definitely came from my heart space. When I met my former husband and he told me that he had a daughter, I was like, wait, what's your daughter's name? And then he told me his daughter's name. And I was like, is your daughter's birthday December 21st? And he was like, yes. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I remember the day your daughter was born. And he was like, how? So I knew her. I didn't know her birth mother directly, but I knew her birth mother's family. And I happened to be at their house the day that she gave birth.
Wow.
So
I got chills again.
Future 3 years later, I'd come to be, her stepmother, which I never used the word stepmother. I don't even use that word with my second mother. So I just thought that was really interesting that I remembered the day she was born because I happened to be in the same circle of friends, never knowing futuristically that her biological father would be somebody I would marry.
Yeah.
And my life has continued to be that way. My second child, who I did not birth, who came from my heart space instead of my womb space, has the same birthday as me. So there's just so many crazy synchronicities in my life. And it's like, you sometimes think to yourself, like, you can't make this stuff up,
No, you definitely can't. And like you said before, everything happens for a reason. Everything.
I find it now the greatest part. I shared that particular thing with you because I find it now like the greatest part of all of that is, while that seems incredible that I was able to be there the night she was born and have the same birthday as my son and all of that when I didn't give birth to them, but I knew they were intended to be in my life, is now it was already wild enough to have one store and have connections like that with your customers. But now that you have multiple locations, the synchronicities that run deep from location to location, and I'll share one with you, is literally mind-boggling. So I was in Riverhead one random day, not that long ago. I barely work in the Riverhead store. I have a great team there, and usually I'm more, west.
Right.
So this one particular day, I decided to switch shifts with somebody. I felt like I wanted to just pour my energy into the Riverhead location and change some things around. So this woman comes in and she's buying a bottle of sage spray because she tells me she's getting ready to move. Why do I ask her where she's moving? Where are you moving to? She's like, San Antonio. I'm like, San Antonio? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I have an apartment in San Antonio. I also live in San Antonio. I have a store in San Antonio. I'm like freaking out. This lady's like, really? I'm like, yeah. Now, the crazier part of all of this is I had just returned from San Antonio. And while I wear my hair short, my son wears his hair short. And my boyfriend at the time, the one that I was telling you about before, Ryan, wears his hair short. And one thing we were talking about is there's no good barbers in San Antonio.
That's so funny.
My son being African American, my ex being Trinidadian, he's like, nobody cuts good ethnic hair around here. So this woman being African American is like, yeah, my husband's going to open a barbershop. I'm like, get out of here.
I love it.
What is wrong with you? I'm like, I need your husband's information. Like, we need a barber. Like,
yeah.
You don't know how bad we need a barber in San Antonio. So we've exchanged phone numbers and every once in a while we touch base with each other. But she moved to San Antonio and it's crazy. And then I had gone to San Antonio to work one weekend, and this gentleman walks in and I see him like in a distance, and I'm wearing glasses now, and I'm like looking at him and I go, hi, just like I always say it, hi, welcome, or hi, welcome to Breathe. And he walks in and I go, hi, welcome to Breathe. And he goes, Jenna? And I'm like, Samuel? And it's a customer from Port Jefferson.
Oh, wow.
Walking into San Antonio. I'm like, what is happening right now?
Worlds are colliding.
So crazy how many New Yorkers are moving to San Antonio.
Yeah.
So many. So what I love most about what I chose to share with you is like, those synchronicities have never stopped following me. And it just seems like no matter where Jenna is, she's going to bump into somebody she knows. And it seems like it's always Breathe people. Like they're just like, it's like, I don't know where I pick them up from, but it's like I collect them like little like dust balls all over me. I'm like, come and just be part of my fabric. I need you in my life.
Yes.
In a good way,
Yeah. Well, they're all beautiful people walking into a crystal. It's, an inspiring store, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I have goosebumps. It's just so amazing, you know. We have this young man, Luca, who I still to this day haven't met. And these two girls had come into the Port Jeff store one day, and I was like, I don't know why I asked them where they were from, but they're like, we're from Queens. I'm like, Queens? I'm like, why did you come all the way to Port Jeff? We have an Oyster Bay store. And they were like, no, we're friends with this guy, and he rants and raves about this store. And I was like, oh, what's his name? They're like, Luca. I'm like, oh, or Lucas. It's either Luca or Lucas.
okay.
So I was like, oh, I don't know who that is. And then like fast forward another person, same story. Oh, I'm from Queens. I'm like, who sent you here? And like at this point, I'm expecting them to say his name, and they did. I'm
Right.
like, I gotta meet this guy. Well, guess where he moved to? San Antonio.
Ah.
It's crazy. I just met his mom and his sister. They came into the Bay Shore,
Aw.
and they're like, oh, we're here to get this necklace. My son moved to San Antonio. I'm like, are you talking about Louis? And
Ah.
yeah, you know him? I'm like, I still don't know him, but he's like the hunter and gatherer and sends people everywhere.
That's amazing.
So it's just really beautiful to witness that, you know, and like that all of this came from just like listening to someone's eulogy and thinking to myself, I need to be more important than who I am. Like listening
Yeah.
to my dad's eulogy, I was like, I need to be that person.
Well, I took one of your sayings that you wrote on Facebook and posted it with the podcast tonight. I'll read it. I don't know if you remember what you wrote. Do you know the greatest story of all? It's yours. The trials and tribulations, the hurdles and obstacles, the no one will know your pain the way you do. How much you have endured, the times you felt like quitting, just giving up. But the best part of all is the joy you get to feel when you finally give up your story.
Mhm.
Stop talking and start living. Yeah, I love it. I,
Yeah.
I love it. Those were your words, love. Those were your
Yeah.
words.
A couple of years ago, I was going through like my first like, well, I never had depression until my husband and I broke up, and I just was like, wow, I didn't know what that felt like. I would help people come into the store looking for crystals on depression, and I couldn't come from that space because I didn't know that space. And then when James and I broke up, I was just devastated, and my depression was so bad.
Yeah.
I just would think to myself, if someone would just run me down, it would be so much easier than doing this.
Yeah.
And I say that to say this is young girl came into my Bayshore store and told me about this workshop that she had taken in New York City and how it like helped her with her addiction. And I was like, oh, you know, can you tell me about it? I'm like, do you think it would help me with my depression? She's like, yes. So I signed up for this workshop to help me with my business and hoping it would help me with my depression. And I have to tell you, it was life changing. There were things about it that I truly loved. There were a couple things about it that I didn't agree with. So I don't want to say it just because I don't want to shun anyone's
Right.
business.
Right.
Um, but what I got from it was that we all have a story.
Mm.
We choose to talk about our story. The more you talk about it, the more that story stays in place, but you don't have to keep telling the same story.
That's
You
right.
literally can change your story by the way you speak. So if I keep talking about my divorce, then I'm the divorcee. If I
Right.
keep talking about my breakup with Ryan, then I'm the girl who got, you know, who we broke up. But
Right.
you get to change how you see things. And it's helped me so much with like realizing that, okay, James and I broke up. And while that was completely devastating and most days debilitating, is that the right word?
Mhm.
I one day was just like, okay, Jenna, that was your story for 2018 and 2019 and 2020, but we're not going to do that anymore. And then I met Ryan. I made room for new things in my life. And then
Right.
when Ryan and I broke up, that was my story. Ryan and I broke up. Oh my God, I told everybody in the store, Ryan and I broke up. And then this summer I was like, Jenna Turner, that's not your story.
Yeah.
So you get
You're
to reinvent your story. It doesn't mean you're telling a lie,
right.
but there's so many aspects of what you talk about that there is truth to it, but there's also truth to so much more. So there's truth for me now in knowing my husband is happy, Ryan is happy, but Jenna is happy.
Yes.
You
I
know,
love
yes, I've overcome obstacles, but everybody in this world is overcoming obstacles.
every single person, every
Every
single,
person is going through something. Everybody. You're
yeah.
not alone.
And it's so
Like,
beautiful to say it out loud because your story can affect somebody else's story. And that's why I do this. So helping anybody who listens,
mhm,
look how beautiful and successful you've become, through hard times and, death and breakups and whatever. You just kept going. You kept
yeah,
going, and pain is living your truth. You have to feel the pain to heal it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, I almost use it as like my driving force to propel
Yeah.
me. And some days I judge myself. I'm like, okay, maybe you work too hard because you don't want to feel your feelings. And then other days I'm deep in my feelings. And then I'm like, okay, well, remind Jenna tomorrow, the other part of Jenna, that we were here today feeling all the feels. So
We were
tomorrow when the
digging in
strong
deep.
one, tomorrow when the
Uh,
strong one is judging you, remind her that we were feeling like you know what today.
yes, yes. I completely understand. But that's we're human. We're
Hmm.
human. We're highly spiritual beings living a human experience right now,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So we have to feel the human emotions, right?
Jeez. Yeah. So true.
Yeah. So if you have any advice that you want to say out loud, say out loud. Ah, Colleen just said that I'm a rewrite master. Yeah,
Mm.
I've had many tragedies in my life too, but that's, the past is the past. I am good at this moment, right? That's all
Yeah.
that matters.
Yeah, some days you wake up, right, sunshine, and you're like, okay, there's no bullet holes.
Yeah, yeah.
We're we're together today. We're
We're
good.
breathing, we're good. We're good.
I always say this, and if any of your viewers have lost a child, I will just say my condolences in advance. I always say this: I woke up today and I still have all of my children.
Yeah.
That is the biggest gift. The biggest gift, whether it's a human child, a spiritual child, a pet. When you love something unconditionally,
Yeah.
that is like the biggest gift. And when you wake up and you know that there's a love that's pure and unconditional, that's it. That's all you need.
That's it. Well, I wake up to myself and I sing, I am beautiful, I am bountiful, I am bliss, and I love myself 100% unconditionally.
I
So
love that.
so when you can get to that, woo, magic, magic, magic.
That has to be the pure state of bliss.
It
That's like
is.
cream and cherries every day.
Yes. I found my nirvana, right?
I love that. So you
Yeah.
said if there was one thing I could say about advice,
Yeah, like to, step into your power, whatever you feel your story would help, you
I
know?
think the easiest thing I could say, and I think so many of us just need to be reminded of it, is that we tend to treat other people better than we tend to treat ourselves.
Yes.
And we look for, in different ways, I'm not accusing anybody, we look to be appreciated by other people. We look to be loved by other people. We look to be nurtured by other people. If we would just take the time to turn that energy towards ourselves, something as small as just the other day, I went to Trader Joe's and I was looking at the flowers for $13 and I was like, I really want those flowers, but they're $13. And I bought myself the flowers. I'm like, you know, I'm
Good.
buying
You
myself the
deserve those
flowers.
flowers.
So I would
Yes.
say if you could treat yourself in the way that you treat others, do that, because no one's going to show up for you like the way you show up for yourself.
I love it. Feed
That would be my
yourself.
best advice. Pour
Yeah.
into yourself.
Feed yourself love and kindness in your mind, your body, and your soul.
Hmm.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. What would your advice be, Sunshine?
Listen, I do classes, I do workshops on inner child and self-love. And so that's my number one thing is fill yourself up first, and then it just overflows to everybody else. Do what brings you joy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put the oxygen mask on for yourself and
Yes,
people around
exactly,
you.
exactly. I told one of my friends that yesterday. The same exact thing with the airplane mask. I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that, like, I guess being the daughter of a pilot, you know, I feel like that has always stayed with me. It's something I say so often on the live when I'm doing my tarot card readings. I'm like, just put that oxygen mask on for yourself.
Yeah.
That
Fill
analogy to me, it's really interesting being on an airplane when you're seeing people freak out. And I always think to myself, my dad used to always say this before he passed. I'd say, "Oh, I'm getting nervous about you going on this flight." And he would say to me, "Jenna, people don't die in airplane accidents. People die in car accidents. And you get in your car every day. You don't think to yourself, I shouldn't get in my car. People are in car accidents every minute."
Right.
He was like, people don't die in airplane accidents. So when he passed away, like I would hear him in my mind every time I had to get on a plane. I'm like, okay, people don't pass away in airplane accidents. I really don't want to be on this airplane. But when I watch people freak out around me, I'm like, these people are good because it's not going to be two accidents in one family. So if
No,
you're lucky,
yeah.
just know that you are safe. You should just fly with me.
Well,
So,
I always just I would say put the angel wings. Come on, angels, fly us back to our destination.
mhm,
It's so beautiful to, think like that, pray like that.
mhm. That's Archangel Raphael.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yay. I love it. Well, thank you so much, love, for coming
Thank you, Miss
on.
Goddess.
Yes,
Mm,
goddess. I love it. I love it. And we'll have to do it again.
I'd love that. Thank
Mhm.
you for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you to your audience and your trusted viewers that tuned in.
Yeah, you had a couple of people come too, and it's on YouTube now. So if
Perfect.
yeah, I'll send it to you.
Awesome. I
Jill,
can share it.
yeah, Jill, thank you for connecting us. She loves
Yes, thank you,
it.
Jill.
Corinne saying goodbye. Colleen,
Thank
Melly Mel. We got lots of beautiful goddesses. Thank you,
Awesome.
thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to put you in the back room, and
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yay! I love, love, love the connection. Thank you, Jill. You're amazing. Thank you, Jenna. You're amazing. And I'm so happy that everybody came on and enjoyed the show. Thank you for the support. I love each and every one of you. May we all be happy, healthy, wealthy, and free.
This is the moment we've been waiting for. Feel the right new world of that's for sure. Na 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 na. Got